Hi everyone, my name is William with Data Psychoanalytics, and today's session we are going to cover how we can leverage on shapes which are on Excel for a stylish finish on your dashboard in Excel. As you can see on my screen, I am a lover of using shapes when it comes to creating dashboards in Excel because it helps me manage my Excel sheet properly and of course be able to lay out the numbers as they are expected to appear. And therefore today we are going to focus on just this portion. How could you be able to come up with a shape like what you're seeing on this dashboard so that you can have a stylish finish on your dashboard. So we have this data that we are going to be looking at for today's session. It's a small data set for different stores, quantities that were ordered and sales at different purchase prices, which becomes our cost price for different days in 2014 and various years actually. Our main goal will not be to go through a full dashboard creation, but then to be able to have a finish like what you're seeing on this screen. So coming back to this data, I've already done some preparation for these columns that were needed. Our data source gave output was up to this point, but then we needed to have the years generated. We have used the year function. Then the start date and end date are used to define what is the YTD dates for us. In a case where the company runs the calendar year, then that would mean from 1st of January to the most current date. So in my case, at this point in time, it's 4th of September. And therefore, for every year we are looking at, we are going to be looking at 1st of January all the way to 4th of September. So all the dates that fall within that range will be considered as YTD for all the years that you have for your data, for you to be able to compare likes. That is year to date for 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18. Having done this preparation for these columns, then I have gone ahead and inserted a pivot table. As you can see here, there's a pivot table that draws from that data. If you come to Analyze menu, you can see if I change data source, then you can see it's referring to this data set there we've just discussed. So the thing is, if you have 4, 3, 10 years for data to be displayed on a dashboard, it would be good if you're able to select a given year and then be able to see what is the performance for that particular year. And for context purposes, you'd also want to be able to see what was the prior year performance and the growth for that. So I've done that. This is the performance in terms of sales. Then this is the year-on-year growth rates, the profit margins, and then the margin as a percentage of sales. Having done this pivot table, the idea is then how do we transfer these numbers to the dashboard? And mind you, you cannot link directly to these numbers because at any one point you want to be able to see the selected year and the prior year. So if the user has selected 2016, you want to see these numbers for 2016, but also be able to see what was the performance for 2015. So that will be our goal today. For us to be able to select a given year, I will go ahead and insert a pivot table. So I select a cell where the pivot table will be displayed. Then I go to Insert menu. I click Pivot Table. As you can see, I need to select the source data. So I click within this, my source data, press Control A. Sorry, Control A will not work. So I'll use my shortcuts to select the data where it sits. Then I press OK. As you can see, there is a grid that comes up where I can be able to populate So I just want the year be harvested from a slicer. So I will place the year into my filters table, and as you can see, the pivot table is dynamic, and therefore it makes the pivot that I had already done to be squeezed, and therefore these numbers are not properly visible. You can correct that by saying you right click within the new pivot table, choose pivot table options, then you can remove this tick here and tick these auto fit column widths on update, then say okay. That makes your pivot table to be static in a sense, so it doesn't have to resize anytime you insert any value. So we have the year placed in our filters, and I want to be able to insert a slicer. If you're using Excel 2013 and above, then you go to Analyze menu, which is one of the contextual menus within pivot tables. Then you choose Insert Slicer. If you're using 2010, then you will be able to find slicers in the Options menu. For 2007, Excel 2007, you don't have the slicers. You may want to use form controls or a drop-down list for this task. So we insert a slicer, then we tick year because we want to be able to slice by the year. Press OK. So it gives you this dialog box for the years, and therefore we want to be able to select a given year, say 2016, and as you can see, it's able to harvest that 2016 for us, and that is what we want at the end of the day. So having gotten this year, select that particular cell. In my case is cell R12. So once you select that cell, we want to give it a name so that it's easier for us to refer to that cell. You don't have to, but it's important. So I come here to the place called name box in our Excel. Then I type, what do I want to call that cell? I can call it selected year. No space for this name. Once you type, press enter for it to take effect. So at any one point we've agreed we want to be able to see the year. Okay, so this will be the year. Then we also want to see these items for each of the selected year. So let me copy paste those headers. Okay. So in this cell here, we are going to type equals selected year. As you can see, as I type, the name we gave to this particular cell appears, and when I say enter, it gives me 2016. So below that, we are going to have equals selected year minus 1, so that it can be able to give us, this is for the current year, and this is the prior year. So for us to be able to get these numbers, we are going to use VLOOKUP. So we'll type this function called equals VLOOKUP. It's going to look up for this year, and I need to lock the column so that I'll be able to autofill this formula to the right side. So I need to lock the column and leave the row to change so that it can pick for 2015 in this scenario. What is my table array? It will be this table up here, my pivot table there. I need to lock that. You press F4 on your keyboard. Then which column number will give me the turnover from this table up there? Now, I don't want to keep counting. I know it's column number 1, 2 in that table. But then I can employ a formula called match that will match these labels. Remember, they will need to be consistent in the way they are typed. I lock the row, comma, Then I match that in this top row, and I lock that top row. I want an exact match, so I choose 0 and I close. So that match function will tell me which column number to pick for my VLOOKUP. Then I'm doing an exact match of the year, so I type false and I close the bracket. Now I know there's a likelihood that I will get an error, because if I select 2014 in my slicer, then the prior year will be 2013, and therefore will give me an error because I don't have that data for 2013. So I need to wrap this formula inside an IFERROR function like that. Then at the end I say, if this function gives me an error, what do I want to display? In my case, I want to return nothing, so I open and close quotes. I don't press the space bar inside those quotes. I just open and close, then I close the bracket. Then I enter. And as you can see, I'm able to get the number for 2016. That was the turnover, as you can see up there. Now I can autofill this formula. You can learn the shortcut. Highlight the region where you want the formula to be copied. Then activate the formula by pressing F2. You can see it's activated. Then because I want that formula copied in all the cells selected, I hold Control key on the keyboard and press Enter. As you can see, I get the numbers for all the cells. Now I can use the Format Painter. This is the Format Painter from Home to copy the formats from my source data. So I select the formats, the original format, then I click Format Painter, then I can come here and select this region so that it transfers for me the formats. So we are done with our dynamic numbers. So if I select 2015 from my slicer, you can see the numbers will change. If I select 2013, again it changes. As you can see, 2013 returns a blank because I don't have those numbers. Then 2015, 2016. So let's work with 2016. Now these numbers, for instance, the growth rates, we want to be able to present them and show them as a conditional formatted numbers. So I'll select the two numbers, come to Home tab, Conditional Formatting. I want to use the highlight cells rules. Remember, there are many ways you can do this. Highlight cells rules. Let's start with the first one, greater than. I want numbers which are greater than 0% to be formatted. I define by using custom format. Custom format, I want to be able to change the font. I want it to be bold and I want it to be shown as green, so I choose green color and I say OK. I go through the process again, come to Home tab, Conditional Formatting. This time round we use less than. Anytime the number is 0% and below, then I want it to be defined as bold italics. This is a matter of preference, but people are accustomed to red when things are bad. So if the change was negative, then I want it to be shown as red. So we have the numbers, as you can see. So the last thing we want to do is to transfer these numbers into a dashboard. So we insert a new worksheet. Let's call this worksheet our dashboard. Then we go to View menu. Let's remove the grid lines from the View menu. Then I want to be able to leverage on shapes. I want to be able to transfer these numbers. So first of all, let me cut this slicer, Control X, and I want to paste it here on my dashboard. I put it there. You can play around with the slicer, change the orientation, but we are not going to look at that for now. At this juncture, let's go to Insert menu, look for shapes and the illustrations. I want to use a rectangle, so I draw a rectangle like that, a reasonable size. Then it will come with this contextual format menu, which can help me to change its fill color. I want a light gray. I don't want a shape outline, so I choose no outline. Then I want to be able to add another shape. This time round it will give me the heading that will be displayed, so I'll use this pentagon shape. I come and draw something reasonable here like that. Again, go to format. I want to be able to say no outline for this shape. In terms of the shape fill, you can choose the one that you prefer. Let me work with that looks cool. Okay, this is the main shape. Let me adjust the color for that so that we can all see what it has. Okay, not very good on colors, but that works for me. Then I want to be able to say this is the performance for the selected year. So I want a sentence that says, for instance, performance for 2016. So I want to be able to pick this 2016 to be dynamic. So I'll go to the formula bar, introduce an equal sign, and wrap this text up to the space just after the word for. I close the quotes there. Then I put an ampersand, means combine this piece of text with what follows after the ampersand. So instead of putting this 2016, I will type selected year, then I enter. So as I select here on my slicers, then if I click 2015, you can see it changes. Now I want to connect that text to this pentagon shape. So I select the shape, ensure the cursor is not blinking within, press equals. Before you press equals, make sure you are within the formula bar. Press equals, then you can select the cell that has the heading. So you can see it appears. You can change its formatting. Luckily, I have what I call the quick access toolbar on my Excel file. So I can quickly format this to be white, bold, to be centered, and to increase the font size like that. Okay, so we have that dynamic. Now I want to be able to also put some style, so I go and insert an isosceles triangle under basic shapes from insert menu. Then I can draw a reasonable size there. Go to format menu, remove the outline as before. Shape fill, let's work with a dark color, like I think that works. Then we can rotate this one so that it aligns horizontally like that. Then I can place it here. I need to be able, okay, that looks good. Okay, so it gives me a feel that these shapes are layered. Now to transfer the numbers, I want to be able to insert another shape. You can do a rectangle, you can do any other shape that you feel. Let me work with the text box. I draw one here. This one will harvest my turnover numbers or sales. Ensure the cursor is not blinking inside the shape. Click within the formula bar, type equals, then go to where your analysis is. Pick this number for the selected year. It will be for the current year. That's the number we want. Press enter. Okay, then you can format, you can make it bold, you can change its fill color, you can work with a certain theme for this. If you like bluish, we worked with this one, so I can work with this color. I can make it centered like that. I can increase the font size. It's the main number, so no harm when it's big, like that. Then make sure the shape doesn't have any fill or outline. No outline. Again, no fill. That's my preferred look. Okay, so that's the number. I can put a text box again. Go to shapes, insert menu shapes, text box, then draw here and type turnover. Again, change the font if you like. No shape, no outline. Okay, so we can copy this or insert a new one. Control D will duplicate this. Then I want to connect that to, just like we've done before with the other shapes, to the prior year number. That's the number. I enter. Okay, you can see. Very nice. Okay, make it bold, change its font color. Okay, think that works for me. Actually, so that's the number. You can duplicate this turnover ones more. You can place it there, type prior year. Play around with this positioning till you get the correct fill. Then finally we can bring in the change. What is the year-on-year growth rate? For that one, we are not going to use a shape. We can do that, but for now, what I want is to select this. This is what I want displayed on the other end. So I select that and say Control C to copy. Control C to copy. Come back to my dashboard. From the Home tab, I want to paste that, but don't just paste. Click on this small arrow next to paste. Use this last option that says linked picture, so that it comes as a mirrored value, and therefore I can choose the placement. So you can see it comes with the formatting of the source. Finally, we would want to be able to move this shape as one thing. So we'll select all the shapes, hold Control and select each one at a go, like that. Each one at a go, including the main shape. Then go to Format and choose Group so that they can move together. So you can see we have done quite a bit. So when I select the year here, then my numbers will be able to change, as you can see. All right, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Please let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts? How do you use shapes? Share this file and the video as well, I'll be very happy. Thank you.